Home for changes everything. Entrance is here, Chase Bank across the street to the Verizon stores here. That's right does. And here's my gingerbread OS special update by Google. 4G LTE, the fastest 4G network in America. The fastest 4G network in America has to do with string theory. Dry lab replacing the wet labs of CERN. You vibrate the lower parts of the 3 and plus 1 dimension time for space-time and see whether the upper dimensions through the funnel can continue shaking in resonance frequency the message back to the lower dimensions. Shaking the higher dimension string theory with the upper 7 dimension or 11 dimensions hypothesis of string theory allows you to send messages faster than the speed of light at higher dimension than 4 dimension. Speed of light is defined as distance, and distance in higher dimensions are always shorter than 3-dimensional space here. Convenient special session Institute of Advanced Scholars versus Institute for Advanced Scholars and Scholarships at the Rubik's Cube Rosetta Stone Project. 5 foundation spheres plus 1 David H. Coaster funded with venture capitalists, and Tron Legacy Prizes leadership not to fail. And of course, the vibration of upper strings now generates subspace Star Trek Next Generation 24th century radio waves communication through cell phones and outer space transmissions, and also looking for data at expanding cosmic computer grid, now the seen as holographic universe, but also it allows you to find out more experimental data about upper string dimensions by vibrating lower string dimensions at the right frequency, and the dry lag comes in using future generations of non-2 and D-show N-town chips of mines and shaws to help trial and error what is the best frequency to shake the lower 3-dimensional space-time string theory for the upper dimensions to vibrate back and recognize the experimental data to validate and rewrite string theory. That's part 2 of the King's broadcast open courseware on YouTube versus mitocw.org. Remind them both. MIT and the 6 foundation directors are convening a special IAS Institute of Advanced Studies in Princeton, New Jersey Humanities session. Why does humanity hold dog shit and call it advanced civilization while pulling on bathroom handles? Asked Dr. Stephen Schmiel from Berkeley Math back then. And of course, finally, I want to say besides long-term evolution of smartphone radio signals in higher dimensions called subspace communications in Star Trek Next Generation terms, Steve Jobs Special Airbook Max, LTE, and Mathematical Maplesoft as Next Generation Rosetta Stone's miniaturized projects, 5 Foundation Cube at the Metropolitan Opera or the Metropolitan Museum of Art versus the Louvre Pyramid. Merge the new and old versus merge the old and old pyramid and the Louvre Museum in Paris. Finally, I want to say about understanding by Rosetta Stone language content, and not just language semantics and grammar as in the computer program software. The Rosetta Stone to help the foundation's directors unified headquarters of all American foundations to make better decisions through assistance of latest technology, latest artificial intelligence, fastest supercomputer, and of course, using what DE Show wanted his staff members to do with him, reminders of the Special Assistance Group at DE Show on the phone himself, and of course, to make better decisions with small endowments to enhance and create and maintain the new global data world, new world order, and new world versus the old world, Columbia's, Lee Bollinger's, Starbucks, cash counting people, tyrants, NYPD cop ambushes and US DOJ ineffectiveness in them, and of course Wall Street prosecution by Obama. And Obama in point number 3 here, not to understand that democracy is using Facebook and mouthed by the Egyptian people, that the military support execution of Mubarak as a result. And Palestine should follow that step by having 60 years and at least 5 years of reprieve of using Facebook before they say that they should have a Palestine state versus the Egyptian state democracy. And Israelis with the Nobel Prizes are losers because they don't understand that Mr. Obama, Harvard Law, Columbia College, Nobel Prize Foundation diploma, White House diploma, cannot do these things, and that's why we relegate Bill Gates Jr. Foundation, the largest foundation of all that does not belong to the foundation headquarters, Rubik's Cube Rosetta Stone Project, Teach Plus, Columbia, NYPD, Stern, Dad, Metro Fired, Dad to pick up the stinking phone, giving back my knapsack and my iPhone devices, and of course, Princeton University, as well as Marxist Realty. The landlord of Margaret Stern and Alan Ruskin, husband and wife, co-op apartment leakage team issues. Tell them how they stochastically lie groups in English, not mathematical terms. And they all need to be fired by the Rosetta Stone project to better understand how Obama couldn't see what democracy is, Israel, not Palestine's, and not the Arab states who never use arms or words, arms or weapons against Israelis, never against its own government. And Israel and I represents democracy and free speech, unlike Lee Bonge against Republican Moot Court USA Supreme Court Chief Justice Robert H. Wayne ruling on free speech. Essential limit theorem of ours, not the mathematical but the NLP natural language processing terms. Held in a special session at IAS in Princeton, New Jersey by IASS and Rubik's Cube Rosetta Stone Project Foundation headquarters yet to be located at Met Opera or Met Museum on Fifth Avenue versus the Louvre Paris Pyramid. Finally, string theory is about merging, divide and conquer space-time. A unified string theory versus Lisa Sundrum theorem on hierarchy changes why orders of magnitude difference between gravity and electromagnetism and electromagnetic weak force. Well, the fact of the matter, you can tell the Lisa Sundrum theorem or the Sun theorem, we saw the Sundrum or Lisa part of it, Lisa Randall, Harvard Physics, nemesis blonde hair from Stuyvesant University, is the fact of the matter that hierarchy changes are not enough, a paradigm change. But yet, as Shakespeare said in the 21st century, by the King's Speeches open courseware YouTube broadcast here, it's not to be or not to be by Macbeth and Shakespeare, but it's to know or not to know. These are Randall Sundrum theorems or Brian Greene's Hidden Reality Universes book, very well written. And the fact of the matter is that you divide and conquer space-time into many different space-times that are situated on top of each other, see? Many different space-times that people sitting on top of each other in this picture here. Well, not quite. And they sit on top of each other with different densities of laws of physics, speed, travel. So in the space-time that we're immersed in, weak and electromagnetism travels at the speed of light. But gravitons, not only are they very loosely held on by D membranes, as some people say in string theory, and therefore they're weaker forces compared to EM forces that hold on strongly to D membrane strings. The fact of the matter is that it travels in a different space-time. And that space-time is less soluble and is denser to the graviton speeds particles versus electromagnetic photon particles and other particles travel through it. Therefore, space and time is divided and conquered into many space-times which are like quantum waves are then superimposed into one single quantum wave that's equal to your body or all objects in the universe. One space-time is divided and conquered into many different space-times and then repackaged into one divide and conquer, like old Tyron Keynes do. Keynes thought the court in the past and a reinvention and a reinvigoration and a reincarnation of it at the Rubik's Cube Rosetta Stone Project, so the Foundation's Spheres headquarters led by the 5 foundation directors and Tron Legacy Prize not to fail and David H. Koch Foundation himself funding it. And of course, the fact is that this makes the solution of the math string theory much easier because all the magnitudes are all the same. The difference in speed is just the space-time that the different particles travel in. And then you divide it and reconquer it by divide and conquer and recombine the different space-times for different speeds or different particles at different orders of magnitude. That's the Sun theorem versus the Lisa Randall Sundrum theorem, 1999. Of course, for the past 12 years, she has not come up with an equivalent theorem to her hierarchy versus my paradigm shift. And yet the paradigm shift is not a paradigm shift because divide and conquer is what quantum theory is about. Quantum physics, where you have one wave is equal to many waves, including the waves that represents the field energy wave of your body and all inanimate objects as well in the universe. Divide and conquer is what quantum physics and superposition of waves are. Yet you know and yet you don't know. A paradigm shift and yet not. The quintessential Shakespearean phrase rephrased by the King Arthur's Court in his roundtable nights of the 5 foundation spheres Rosetta Stone Project and Rubik's Cube at the Metropolitan Opera or Lincoln Center and or the Metropolitan Museum of Art to challenge the Louvre passed by the merging of the first New World Rosetta Stone Rubik's Cube headquarters and the past or the Museum of Modern Metropolitan Museum of Art or Lincoln Center's Performing Arts.